The woman behind the glass didn't even look at Amara for long. She just pressed her lips together, tapped her keyboard, and slid Amara's passport back under the small opening. "Your visa is denied," she said. 2 seconds. That was all it took. Amara stared at the blue passport like it was suddenly heavy, like it had turned into a rock. "What?" her coach whispered behind her. Amara tried to speak, but her throat felt like it was glued shut. Her hands shook so much the passport almost fell to the floor. The American embassy in Lagos was cold inside. Not nice cold. Not air conditioner on a hot day, cold. It was the kind of cold that makes you feel small. Like you're not supposed to be there. Amara blinked fast, because her eyes were burning. She did not want to cry here. Not in front of strangers. Not in front of people wearing suits and looking like they had never missed a meal in their whole lives. But her chest squeezed anyway. Coach Bode leaned closer, polite voice, calm face, but his eyes were tight. "Ma, please, she's a student athlete. She's going for a youth football program. We have documents." The officer didn't change her face. She didn't sound mean. That was what made it worse. She sounded like a robot that can't feel your pain. "Decision is final," the officer said. "Next. Next." Just like that. Amara turned around, dizzy. Behind her, the waiting room was full of people holding folders, praying under their breath, fixing their clothes, checking their phone screens like the screen could save them. Some people looked at her for 1 second. Then looked away. Because everyone was scared it could be them. Outside, the Lagos sun hit her like a slap. Hot. Bright. Loud. Traffic horns. A bus shouting, "Ashadi! Ashadi!" Vendors calling out, "Pure water!" Gala. The city didn't stop for heartbreak. Amara walked to the edge of the embassy sidewalk like her legs didn't belong to her anymore. Coach Bode followed, fast. "Amara! Amara, stop! Look! At me!" She looked. Her eyes were wet now. She hated it. She hated that her tears came anyway, like her body had decided without asking her. "I'm sorry," she said, and her voice cracked on the word sorry like a stick breaking. Coach Bode frowned hard. "No. Don't say sorry. You did nothing wrong." Amara swallowed. It hurt. "So, that's it? I can't go?" Coach Bode didn't answer right away. And that silence? It was loud. It was louder than the buses. Amara held the passport to her chest. It felt like a dream that had died in her hands. Then she saw it. Across the street, near a small kiosk selling meat pie and soft drinks, her stepmother stood under a faded umbrella. Auntie Mabel. Amara's stomach turned. Auntie Mabel was not supposed to be there. She had said she was too busy to come. She had even rolled her eyes when Coach Bode mentioned the embassy interview date. But there she was. Watching. And beside her stood her daughter, Saad, chewing gum slowly like this was a movie and she had paid for a ticket. Amara didn't move. She couldn't. Auntie Mabel smiled. Not a happy smile. Not a proud smile. It was a thin smile. Sharp at the edges. Like, I knew this would happen. Amara's skin went cold again, even in the sun. Coach Bode followed her gaze. He saw them too. His shoulders went stiff. "Do you know those women?" he asked. Amara whispered, "Yes." Coach Bode's voice dropped. "Why are they here?" Amara opened her mouth. Nothing came out. "Because how do you tell your coach that the person who is supposed to be your mother might be the reason your dream just got crushed? How do you say that without sounding crazy?" Auntie Mabel raised her hand and waved, slow and sweet, like she was greeting a neighbor. Then she turned and walked away. Saad followed, still chewing gum. Amara watched them disappear into the Lagos crowd. And for the first time, the word formed in her head, clear as a bell. Jealousy. It sat in her mind like a stone. Coach. Bode exhaled, shaky. Amara, we're going to figure something out. Okay? Amara nodded, but her heart didn't believe it. Because she had worked too hard for this. Too hard. Her whole life had been one long training session. One long fight. And now, one woman behind glass had said denied, and the world had agreed. Coach Bode guided her toward the car. Sit. Drink water. Amara sat, but she couldn't drink. Her hands were still shaking. The driver started the engine. The car pulled into the Lagos traffic, moving like a tired snail. Amara's phone buzzed once. A message popped up. From an unknown number. You can run on field. But you can't run from home. Her breath stopped. She stared at the screen. Coach Bode noticed her face. What is it? Amara didn't answer. She turned the phone toward him. He read it. His jaw tightened. Who sent that? Amara whispered, I don't know. But deep down, she had a guess. And it made her feel sick. The car crawled past Ikeja. Past billboards. Past shops. Past the big roundabout where people crossed the road like they were dancing with death. Then it turned toward Surulere, where the stadium area always smelled like sweat, grass, and hope. And that smell usually made Amara feel alive. Today it made her want to throw up. Coach Bode kept talking, like words could build a bridge over the pain. We can appeal, he said. Sometimes they said final, Amara cut in, then immediately felt bad because her voice sounded sharp. She lowered her eyes. Sorry. Coach Bode shook his head. No, don't apologize. You're allowed to be angry. Amara pressed her forehead to the window. Her reflection looked back at her. A girl with tight braids. A plain white blouse for the interview. No fancy earrings. No makeup. A girl who had borrowed that blouse from a neighbor because Auntie Mabel said, we don't have money for embassy clothes. But Amara knew it wasn't only money. Auntie Mabel didn't like spending anything on her. Because Amara was not her child. Amara closed her eyes and, without meaning to, her mind slipped backward. Back to where it always began. Back to the compound house in Ajegunle. The place that felt like too many voices in one small space. Back to mornings when Amara woke up before the sun, not because she wanted to, but because someone would yell her name. Amara. Come and fetch water. That voice was always Auntie Mabel's. Amara had been 8 the first time she carried a full bucket from the tap down the street. 8. The bucket had been almost as tall as her legs. The handle cut into her fingers. She had tried to be strong, but her hands were small then. She spilled some water. Auntie Mabel slapped the back of her head so hard her ears rang. Are you mad? Auntie Mabel hissed. Do you think water is free? Amara had stood there, eyes down, swallowing her tears, because crying made it worse. Then, later that same day, when Saad spilled soup by mistake, Auntie Mabel just laughed. It's okay, my baby. Come here. That difference, it stayed with Amara like a bruise that never fully healed. And still, Amara tried. She tried to be helpful. She tried to be quiet. She tried to disappear. But she couldn't disappear on the football field. On the field, she was loud without making a sound. Her feet spoke for her. Her speed spoke for her. Her goals spoke for her. The first time Amara realized she was good, it happened behind the compound, near a narrow dusty space where boys played barefoot. They didn't want her there at first. "Go inside," one boy said. "This is for boys." Amara had stood there, fists tight. "I can play." The boys laughed. Then the ball rolled near her foot and she trapped it perfectly without thinking. The boys stopped laughing. One of them said, "Okay. Try." Amara dribbled around him so fast his slippers twisted. Another boy tried to block her. She shifted left, then right, like the wind had learned tricks. She scored using a broken flip-flop as a goalpost. And for the first time, the boys went quiet. Then one boy said, softly, "Ah. This girl, she's serious." That night, Amara went to sleep smiling into her pillow. But in the morning, Auntie Mabel found out. She saw the dusty knees. The dirty skirt. The small scrape on Amara's elbow. "Football?" Auntie Mabel repeated like it was a bad word. Amara nodded slowly. "It makes me happy." Auntie Mabel's face hardened. "Happiness does not feed this house. You will not be running around like a street child." "But..." Auntie Mabel pointed a finger right in her face. "I said no." Then she turned to Saad, who was sitting on a plastic chair eating bread and tea. "Saad, you hear? You will start football lessons. If anyone in this house will shine, it is you." Saad blinked. "Me?" "Yes. You." Saad didn't even look excited. She looked confused. Because Saad didn't love football. Saad loved looking pretty. She loved taking pictures on phones. She loved singing in the mirror. She loved being praised. She did not love running until her lungs burned. But Auntie Mabel didn't care what Saad loved. Auntie Mabel cared about winning. And she cared about Amara not winning. At first, Amara tried to obey. She really did. She focused on chores. On school. On keeping her head down. But football kept calling her, like a drumbeat she couldn't ignore. Sometimes, late in the afternoon, when Auntie Mabel was busy gossiping with neighbors and Saad was inside watching TV, Amara would sneak out. Just for 15 minutes. Just to touch the ball. Just to feel like herself again. And that's how Coach Bode first saw her. It was near a small community field in Suralere where he brought young players for practice. A real field with real grass in some places, even though it had bald patches. Coach Bode was the kind of man who wore his whistle like a necklace and always had sunburn on his neck. He saw Amara playing with boys twice her size. He saw her steal the ball clean. He saw her look up before passing, like she could see the future. Coach Bode walked closer. "Who is that girl?" The boys shrugged. "She's from Ajegunle." Coach Bode watched Amara take a shot. The ball curved into the top corner. Coach Bode's eyebrows lifted. "Hey! You! What's your name?" Amara froze. Her heart pounded. Adults asking questions usually meant trouble. She answered anyway. "Amara." Coach Bode nodded. "How old are you?" 13, she lied. She was 12 then, but she had learned that people listen more when you seemed older. Coach Bode smiled like he knew, but he didn't call her out. "Amara," he said, "do you want to play real football?" Amara's mouth went dry. "Yes." Coach Bode pointed toward his group. "Come tomorrow morning. 6 a.m. sharp. Bring any shoe you have." Amara nodded, almost scared to breathe. Then Coach Bode added, "Tell your parent." Amara's smile vanished. Because telling Auntie Mabel felt like asking a lion for permission to walk past its food. Still. Amara tried. That night, she waited until Auntie Mabel finished dinner. She approached slowly. "Auntie, there is a coach. He wants me to join training." Auntie Mabel didn't look up from washing her hands. "Training for what?" "Football." The water stopped running. Auntie Mabel turned. Slowly. She looked Amara up and down like she was seeing her for the first time. Then she laughed. "Short. Mean. You want to become a footballer?" Amara nodded, swallowing. "Yes." Auntie Mabel stepped closer. "Do you know what football girls become?" Amara blinked. "Athletes?" Auntie Mabel's mouth twisted. "They become stubborn. They become shameless. They forget their place." "I won't." Auntie Mabel raised her hand. Amara flinched before the slap even came. But this time, Auntie Mabel didn't slap her. She did something worse. She smiled again. That thin, sharp smile. "You can go," Auntie Mabel said softly. Amara stared. "I can?" Auntie Mabel nodded. "Yes. Go and play." Amara's heart lifted so fast it almost hurt. Then Auntie Mabel added, "But Saad will also go. She will be the one on the team. Not you." Amara's smile faded. "But I'm the one." Auntie Mabel's eyes flashed. "Don't argue. Or you won't go at all." So Amara went. She trained with Saad. But Saad did not train like someone who wanted it. Saad complained about the sun. About sweating. About her hair. About her shoes. "This grass is itching me," she whined once. Coach Bode looked tired that day. "Saad, you have to run." Saad pouted. "I'm tired." Coach Bode's eyes moved to Amara, who was running like her life depended on it. Because it did. Coach Bode saw the truth. But Auntie Mabel was always near. Always watching. Always stepping in. "She is shy," Auntie Mabel would say about Saad. "She will improve." Then she would look at Amara and say, "Why are you showing off? Do you want to disgrace your sister?" Amara would swallow her words like stones. Because in that house, speaking up was dangerous. Even when Coach Bode started giving Amara extra drills, Auntie Mabel would find ways to stop her. "Amara, wash the clothes." "Amara, go and buy pepper." "Amara, you will not eat until you finish the floor." Sometimes Amara would arrive late to training, breathless, eyes watery, stomach empty. Coach Bode would ask gently, "Did you eat?" Amara would lie. "Yes." Because saying no felt like admitting she was weak. And she was not weak. Not on the inside. Even if her life tried to make her small. Then came the news that changed everything. Lagos State Olympic Youth Football Trials. Real scouts. Real cameras sometimes. Real chances. Coach Bode gathered the girls at the field. His voice was serious. "This is not for play. If you perform, you can be selected for an international youth program in the United States. You hear me?" The girls gasped. "United States?" Sada's eyes lit up. "America?" Amara's heart started pounding, slow. And heavy. America felt like a faraway planet. But it also felt like a door. A door out of Ajegunle. A door out of chores and slaps and being called this orphan. That night, Amara couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, listening to generator noise outside, and she whispered into the dark. "Please. Please. Let this be my turn." The next morning, trial day, Amara wore borrowed boots that were a little too big. She stuffed tissue paper into the toes. Her socks had holes. Her jersey smelled like soap and sun. The field was at Teslim Balagan Stadium area in Surulere, where the air always feels electric on big sports days. People shouted. Coaches paced. Parents argued about positions like they were coaching the national team. Auntie Mabel arrived dressed like she was attending a wedding. Bright wrapper. Big handbag. Serious face. She held Sada's shoulder like a queen presenting a princess. "This is my daughter," she told anyone who would listen. "She will make us proud." Amara stood behind them, quiet. Coach Bode pulled Amara aside when nobody was watching. His voice was low. "Listen. Today, play your best. Don't look at anybody's face." Amara nodded. "Yes, coach." He hesitated, then added, "If anyone tries to stop you, you come to me." Amara's throat tightened. "Okay." The whistle blew. The game began. At first, Amara stayed calm like coach said. But then something happened. One of the scouts, a tall woman with sunglasses, shouted from the side, "Number 11. Nice control." Number 11 was Amara. Amara's heart jumped. She pushed harder. She ran like she was chasing daylight. She stole the ball. She passed. She cut through defenders. And then, one moment that felt like slow motion, she faced Saad head-on. Saad tried to block her. Sada's eyes were wide, scared. Amara didn't want to embarrass her. She really didn't. But she also didn't want to lose her life's chance. So Amara feinted left, then spun right. Saad stumbled and fell on the grass. The crowd went, "Oh-h-h-h." Amara didn't even look back. She shot. Goal. The net shook. For a second, the whole place went silent. Then cheers exploded. Amara stood there, breathing hard, sweaty and shaking, and she couldn't tell if she was about to laugh or cry. Coach Bode punched the air. "Yes. That's it." Auntie Mabel's face on the sideline turned stiff. Stiff like wood. And Amara saw it. That look. Not pride. Not surprise. Something darker. Auntie Mabel grabbed Sada's arm and hissed something into her ear. Sada's face crumpled, embarrassed. And then, right there on the sideline, Auntie Mabel turned her head slightly and looked straight at Amara. She didn't shout. She didn't clap. She just stared. And mouthed two words, slow and clear, like she wanted Amara to read it. "We'll see." Amara's stomach dropped. Because the game was still going. The day was still moving. The scouts were still watching. But suddenly, Amara felt like something had changed in the air. Like a storm had started far away, and it was coming closer. And Amara didn't know it yet. But that was the exact moment her real fight began. Because winning on the field was one thing. Winning against jealousy inside her own home was something else. And the next morning, Amara would wake up with a strange mark on her ankle, and a pain that didn't make any sense. Amara woke up before sunrise. Not because of noise. Because of pain. It felt like someone had pushed a hot nail into her right ankle. She sat up fast on her thin mattress. The room was still dark. The fan had stopped again, no power. The air felt heavy. She touched her ankle. And gasped. There was a round mark on the side of her skin. Dark. Small. Almost like something had burned her. She didn't remember falling. She didn't remember getting hit. Yesterday she had played the best game of her life at Teslim Balagan Stadium in Surulere. She had scored. She had heard people shouting her name. Now this? She tried to stand. The moment her foot touched the floor, pain shot up her leg. She fell back down, breathing hard. No, please no, she whispered. From the courtyard, she heard Auntie Mabel's voice. Amara. Are you still sleeping? Amara wiped her eyes quickly. She didn't want to look weak. She stood again, slowly this time, leaning on the wall. The pain was worse. By the time she limped outside, Saad was already sitting on a plastic chair, eating bread and egg. Saad looked at her and frowned. Why are you walking like that? My ankle hurts, Amara said softly. Auntie Mabel turned from the cooking pot. From what? I don't know. I just woke up and... Auntie Mabel walked closer. She bent down and looked at the mark. Her eyes rested on it a little too long. Then she stood up. You probably stretched it yesterday, she said calmly. That is what happens when children try to do what is too big for them. The words felt sharp. It wasn't hurting yesterday, Amara said quietly. Auntie Mabel shrugged. Pain comes when it wants. Saad rolled her eyes. Don't start acting so they will pity you. I'm not acting, Amara whispered. But even as she said it, doubt slipped into her mind. What if it was just a normal injury? What if she was imagining things? Her phone rang. Coach Bode. Her heart jumped. She answered quickly. Coach? Amara. Congratulations. You made the Lagos State Olympic Youth Squad. For a second, the world felt bright again. I did, she breathed. You did. The scouts loved your control. We start camp soon. Her smile faded as she looked down at her ankle. Coach, my ankle is hurting badly. There was a pause. Did you twist it during the match? No. I didn't fall. Can you walk? Not properly. Come to the clinic near the stadium. Let's check it. She agreed. When she ended the call, Auntie Mabel was watching her closely. What did he say? Auntie Mabel asked. I was selected. Sada's chewing stopped. For a second. The courtyard was quiet. Then Auntie Mabel smiled slowly. Big news. But it didn't feel like happiness. It felt like something else. At the small sports clinic in Suralire, the nurse pressed around the swelling gently. Amara winced. This is strange, the nurse said. The swelling pattern isn't typical for a twist. Coach Bode frowned. So what is it? It could be a reaction to something. Maybe an insect bite. Maybe contact with something irritating. Amara's heart skipped. Insect bite, she repeated. The nurse nodded. Possibly. But it's deeper than a normal mosquito bite. Coach Bode looked at Amara carefully. Did anything happen at home? Amara hesitated. She remembered Auntie Mabel's stare after the goal. That quiet look. That slow smile. We'll see. She swallowed. No, she said finally. Nothing happened. But her voice sounded unsure even to her own ears. The nurse wrapped the ankle tightly and gave her medicine. Rest for 2 days, she said. Ice it. No running. 2 days. Training camp started tomorrow. In the car, Coach Bode didn't start the engine right away. He looked at her seriously. Amara, listen to me. Sometimes when people are afraid of losing attention, they react badly. She looked at him. You mean, jealous? He nodded. You played better than many girls yesterday. Some people won't like that. She stared at her hands. My stepmother wanted her daughter to shine, she said softly. Coach Bode sighed. I could tell. Amara's chest tightened. Coach, what if I can't play? He leaned forward. You will play. But what if it gets worse? Then we treat it. And if something is trying to stop you, his voice grew firm. We push back. His confidence felt like a blanket around her shoulders. Back home, the compound felt different. Word had already spread that she was selected. Neighbors congratulated her. But inside the house, it was quiet. Too quiet. At dinner, Auntie Mabel suddenly said, "Big success can disappear quickly." Amara looked up. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Auntie Mabel said slowly, "nothing in this life is guaranteed." Saad stared at her plate. Amara felt cold. That night, she lay awake. Her ankle throbbed. She tried to pray, but her thoughts were messy. What if this pain was normal? What if it wasn't? What if jealousy could really hurt someone? She didn't want to believe that. She didn't want to believe someone in her own house would try to block her light. The wind outside grew louder. The compound gate creaked. She finally drifted into a light sleep. And just before morning, she felt something cold touch her ankle. Her eyes flew open. The room was dark. But she could hear breathing. Someone was standing near her bed. And she was not imagining it. Amara's eyes stayed open. She did not move. The room was dark, but not fully dark. A thin line of early morning light slipped in through the small window near the ceiling. She could hear breathing. Slow. Close. Her heart began to pound so loudly she was sure the person could hear it. "Who's there?" she whispered. The breathing stopped. Silence. Then a soft sound. Fabric brushing against the wall. Amara forced herself to sit up. Her ankle screamed in pain. She bit down on her lip so she wouldn't cry out. "Who's there?" she said again, louder this time. The door moved slightly. A shadow shifted. Then, footsteps. Quick. Leaving the room. Amara grabbed her phone and turned on the flashlight. The room was empty. The door was half open. Her chest felt tight. She swung her legs off the mattress and limped to the doorway. The corridor outside was quiet. Too quiet. She could see Sada's door closed. Auntie Mabel's door closed. Everything looked normal. But it did not feel normal. She slowly looked down at her ankle. Her stomach dropped. The mark was darker. And there was something else. A thin white powder around it. Like chalk dust. Her hands began to shake. "No," she whispered. She wiped the powder with her fingers. It smeared. She brought her fingers close to her nose. It smelled strange. Not like medicine. Not like cream. Something earthy. Her breathing became shallow. Was someone in her room? Was she dreaming? Her mind ran back to the night before. The wind. The gate creaking. The heavy silence in the house. She remembered Auntie Mabel's words at dinner. Nothing in this life is guaranteed. Her chest tightened. She limped back inside and shut the door. Locked it. Then she leaned against it and slid down to the floor. For the first time since all this started. She was afraid. Not of losing football. Not of pain. Afraid of the house she lived in. Later that morning, she did not mention the breathing. She did not mention the powder. She just wrapped her ankle tightly again and went outside. Auntie Mabel was already awake. Saad was brushing her hair. "You didn't sleep?" Auntie Mabel asked without looking up. "I slept," Amara said. Her voice sounded small. Auntie Mabel's eyes flicked to her ankle. "Still hurting?" "Yes." A pause. "Maybe it is a sign," Auntie Mabel said casually. A sign of what? That some doors are not meant for everyone. The words felt heavy. Amara looked straight at her. Why don't you want me to go? The question came out before she could stop it. Saad froze. Auntie Mabel turned slowly. What did you say? Why don't you want me to succeed? Amara's voice trembled, but she didn't look away. For a moment, the courtyard felt smaller. Auntie Mabel stepped closer. You think everything is about you? She asked quietly. I just want to play football. You want to leave this house, Auntie Mabel corrected. Amara blinked. She had never said that out loud. But it was true. Auntie Mabel's voice grew sharp. You think if you go to America, you will forget where you came from? I wouldn't forget, Amara said quickly. You already are. Auntie Mabel snapped. Look at you. Talking back. Saad stood up. Mama, leave her. But there was no kindness in Saada's voice. There was something else. Something uneasy. Amara felt tears pushing behind her eyes. I didn't choose to be better at football, she said softly. It just happened. That was the truth. She didn't wake up one day and decide to beat Saad. She just loved the game. Auntie Mabel laughed once. Cold. You think talent is enough, she said. This world is bigger than talent. Amara didn't answer. Because she didn't know what that meant. That afternoon, Coach Bode called. How is the ankle? He asked. It's still hurting. Come to the stadium. I want to see you walk. She agreed. When she arrived, the other selected girls were already training lightly. Some jogged. Some stretched. Amara felt like she was watching from outside her own life. Coach Bode walked toward her. Show me. She took a step. Pain. Another step. Worse. He frowned deeply. This is not improving. I know. He crouched and examined the mark himself. His face changed. What? Amara asked. This doesn't look like a simple reaction. Her heart dropped. What does it look like? He hesitated. Like something irritated it directly. She swallowed. I woke up this morning, she said slowly, and someone was in my room. Coach Bode looked up sharply. What? I heard breathing. Then footsteps. Did you see who it was? No. He stood up slowly. Amara, has anyone in your house been acting strange? She thought of the powder. The stare. The words. But she couldn't say it. Because saying it would make it real. I don't know, she whispered. Coach Bode stood silent for a long moment. Then he said firmly, You're not staying there alone tonight. Her eyes widened. What? You'll stay with my sister in Suralere until camp begins. What about my stepmother? I'll talk to her. Amara's chest filled with both relief and fear. Relief because she didn't want to sleep in that room again. Fear because Auntie Mabel would not like this. And when Auntie Mabel didn't like something, she made sure you felt it. That evening, when Coach Bode came to the compound to speak with Auntie Mabel, the air felt tight. Neighbors pretended not to listen. But everyone listened. I think it's better if Amara stays closer to the stadium, Coach Bode said calmly. For what? Auntie Mabel asked. For proper monitoring. Auntie Mabel's eyes were unreadable. Are you saying I cannot take care of my own house? She asked softly. No, Coach Bode said carefully. I'm saying she needs rest. A long pause. Then Auntie Mabel smiled. Of course, she said sweetly. Take her. The sweetness scared Amara more than anger would have. As Amara packed her small bag, Saad stood at the doorway. You really think you're special now, Saad said quietly. I don't, Amara replied. You beat me in front of everyone. I didn't mean to embarrass you. Saad looked down. For a second, she looked almost sad. Then her face hardened again. Just remember, she said, home is still here. The way she said it felt like a warning. That night, Amara lay on a different bed in Surulere. Coach Bode's sister had given her warm food and a clean sheet. The house felt peaceful. No shouting. No sharp stares. Her ankles still hurt. But her chest felt lighter. She stared at the ceiling and whispered, please let this end. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. Her stomach twisted. She opened the message. You can change houses. But you can't change blood. Her fingers went cold. Another message came immediately after. This is just the beginning. Amara's heart pounded so hard she could hear it in her ears. She slowly turned off the phone. Outside, a car passed. A dog barked in the distance. Inside the quiet Surulere room, she pulled the blanket up to her chin. For the first time in her life, football did not feel like a game. It felt like war. And she had no idea how far the other side was willing to go. The next morning in Surulere felt strange. Quiet. Too quiet. No shouting. No metal plates banging. No, Amara. Fetch water. Just the sound of birds. Amara opened her eyes slowly. For 1 second, she forgot everything. Then she remembered the messages. The mark. The breathing in the dark. Her heart began to race again. She grabbed her phone. No new messages. But the last 2 still sat there like scars. You can change houses. But you can't change blood. This is just the beginning. She swallowed. Good morning, Coach Bode's sister called from the kitchen. Breakfast is ready. Amara forced herself up. Her ankle touched the floor. Still painful. But, not as sharp as yesterday. She frowned. That was strange. She walked slowly to the bathroom mirror and lifted her leg. The swelling had gone down a little. The dark mark was still there. But lighter. Her stomach flipped. How could something so painful just start fading? Unless. No. She didn't want to think like that. At breakfast, Coach Bode was already seated. How is it? He asked. Better, she said quietly. His eyebrows lifted. Better? Yes. He leaned back slowly. That's good, he said. But something in his eyes said he was thinking hard. Training started that afternoon. The selected girls gathered on the field near Teslim Balagan Stadium. The air smelled like grass and heat. Cars honked in the distance. Vendors sold cold water near the gate. This was her place. Her real place. The girls were excited. Laughing. Stretching. Talking about America like it was a dreamland full of bright lights and tall buildings. One girl said, I heard New York has buildings that touch the sky. Another said, my uncle said snow falls from heaven there. Amara smiled faintly. Snow. She had only seen it on television. Coach Bode blew his whistle. Focus, he shouted. They began light drills. Amara jogged carefully. 1 step. 2 steps. The pain was there. But manageable. She pushed slightly harder. Her ankle held. Coach Bode noticed. He nodded once. Then training intensified. Sprints. Passing drills. Tactical play. Amara forgot fear for a moment. When the ball touched her feet, her body remembered who she was. Quick. Sharp. Alive. She dribbled past 2 defenders cleanly. A small cheer rose from the girls. That spark returned to her chest. Maybe she was fine. Maybe the worst had passed. Then, during a quick turn, her ankle twisted slightly. She stumbled. The pain flared suddenly, stronger than before. She collapsed to one knee. The field went silent. Coach Bode ran over. "Amara. I'm okay," she lied. But tears had filled her eyes. Not from pain alone. From frustration. Why now? Why every time she felt strong? Coach helped her up gently. "We stop for today," he said firmly. "No," she protested. "Please." He looked at her closely. "You want to destroy yourself before camp?" She shook her head. But her chest felt tight. What if the pain kept coming back at important moments? What if this was how it would be? Hope rising. Then crashing. Like waves that refused to let you breathe. That evening, as the sun went down, Amara sat alone outside the house in Surulere. She stared at the sky. Orange fading into purple. She thought about Auntie Mabel. About Sod. About the messages. A part of her wanted to believe it was just coincidence. A simple injury. But another part of her, the quiet part inside, kept whispering. This is not random. Her phone buzzed again. Her heart jumped. Unknown number. Her hands trembled as she opened it. Come home. Just 2 words. Nothing else. Her breath caught. She stared at the message. Why? Why now? Another buzz. You can't hide forever. She felt cold even in the warm evening air. She dialed the number immediately. It rang once. Twice. Then cut off. She tried again. Almost completely. The mark had faded into a faint shadow. Training camp was in 3 days. Everything seemed to be stabilizing. Then that night, she had a dream. She was on a huge field. Bigger than Teslim Balagan. Brighter. Crowds cheering her name. She ran with the ball. She was fast. Free. Then suddenly, the grass turned into mud. Her feet sank. She tried to move. Couldn't. She looked down. Hands were grabbing her ankles. Pulling. Dragging. She screamed. And woke up. Her heart was racing. Sweat covered her body. She sat up breathing hard. The room was dark. But something felt wrong. Too quiet. She looked at her ankle. It was throbbing again. Slow. Deep. Her stomach twisted. She reached down. Touched it. The mark was back. Darker than before. Her breath left her body. No, she whispered. She switched on the light. The mark looked fresh. As if it had just appeared. Her mind raced. She had not gone home. She had not stepped outside barefoot. She had been here. Safe. So how? Her phone buzzed. Her entire body froze. She didn't want to look. But she did. Unknown number. One message. You can't run from your roots. Her hands began to shake violently. Another message came. When you step on that field, you will fall. Her vision blurred. This wasn't coincidence anymore. This felt targeted. Personal. Her breathing became uneven. For the first time, She wasn't just afraid. She was angry. Angry that someone thought they could scare her. Angry that someone wanted her to fail so badly. She clenched her fists. And in that small sourelier room, something shifted inside her. Fear was still there. But something else rose with it. Defiance. She whispered into the dark. You don't get to decide my future. Her ankle throbbed harder. As if answering her. Outside, thunder rumbled in the distance. A storm was building over Lagos. And Amara realized. This wasn't just about football anymore. It was about control. About power. About someone trying to prove that no matter how far she ran, she would always belong beneath them. The thunder cracked louder. And Amara lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Knowing that the real battle would begin at training camp. And she had no idea what would happen when the whistle blew. The storm hit Lagos before dawn. Rain slapped against the windows of the sourelier house. Thunder rolled across the sky like heavy drums. The air smelled wet and sharp. Amara was already awake. She hadn't really slept. Her ankle hurt again. Not as badly as before, but enough to remind her it was there. Today was the first day of full camp. Today mattered. She sat on the edge of the bed and stared at the mark. It looked darker than skin should ever look. Almost purple. Almost alive. Her phone buzzed. Her heart jumped. But it was just Coach Bode. Ready? He asked from the hallway. Yes, she called back. She wasn't sure if it was true. Camp was held at a larger training ground not far from Teslim Balogun Stadium. Proper cones. Proper jerseys. Proper drills. Real scouts would be visiting again in a week. The girls arrived carrying small bags, nervous smiles, and big dreams. Some had parents hugging them tightly. Some came alone. Amara stepped onto the field and inhaled deeply. Wet grass. Morning air. Possibility. Coach Bode gathered them in a circle. This week, he said firmly, we'll test you. Not just your legs. Your mind. His eyes paused on Amara for a second longer than the others. We train hard. We rest hard. We protect each other. Protect each other. The words stayed with her. Training began. At first, her ankle felt fine. Light passing drills. Stretching. Short runs. She moved carefully. Every step felt like walking on thin ice. Don't break. Don't fail. Not now. Then scrimmage started. Real pace. Real pressure. Amara received the ball midfield. A defender rushed her. She cut left. Perfect. She accelerated. Pain flashed through her ankle. Sharp. Unexpected. She stumbled. The ball rolled away. Another girl scored. The whistle blew. Coach Bode's voice cut through the air. Amara. Focus. I'm trying, she wanted to shout. But she didn't. She nodded and reset. Next play. She received the ball again. This time she slowed down. Controlled. Measured. The defender came closer. Amara faked right. Spun left. Clean. She sprinted. Pain pulsed. But she kept going. Shot. Goal. The net snapped. The girls shouted. Her chest heaved. Her ankle burned. But she had stayed on her feet. Coach Bode clapped once. That's it. For a brief moment. She felt powerful again. Lunch break. The girls sat under a shaded area, eating rice from plastic containers. Amara sat slightly apart, rubbing ice on her ankle. A girl named Tenny sat beside her. "You okay?" Tenny asked softly. "Yeah," Amara replied. Tenny hesitated. "People are talking." Amara's stomach tightened. "About what?" "About your ankle. They say it's strange how it keeps coming and going." Amara forced a small smile. "Injuries are like that." Tenny nodded slowly. But her eyes said she wasn't fully convinced. Before Amara could respond, her phone buzzed again. Her hands went cold. Unknown number. She opened it. "You fall today." Her chest tightened. She looked up quickly, scanning the field. Everything looked normal. Girls laughing. Coaches walking. Vendors outside the gate shouting about cold drinks. Normal. But her skin prickled. She stood up. "Where are you going?" Tenny asked. "To the bathroom," Amara said. Inside the small restroom building near the field, she locked herself in a stall. Her breathing became shaky. "Stop," she whispered to herself. "Stop being scared." She stared at her reflection in the small cracked mirror. "You are stronger than this," she said quietly. But her eyes looked uncertain. She splashed water on her face. Then she saw it. Her ankle. The mark was spreading slightly. Thin dark lines around it. Like tiny roots. Her breath left her body. "This is not normal," she whispered. Her phone buzzed again. She almost dropped it. "You cannot outrun what is tied to you." Her heart pounded in her ears. This wasn't random harassment. Someone knew exactly what was happening. Someone was watching closely. But who? Her mind jumped back to home. To Saad. To Auntie Mabel. To the way Auntie Mabel had smiled after the match. She felt anger rise again. Hot. Heavy. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do you hate me this much?" There was no answer. Only the hum of the bathroom light. Afternoon session. More intense. Longer runs. Full field scrimmage. Rain clouds gathered again above Lagos. The air grew heavy. Coach Bode blew the whistle. Final game. 10 minutes. Give me everything. Amara stepped onto the field. Her heart beat steady. Fear was there. But she pushed it down. Ball in play. Fast pace. She moved carefully at first. Then the rhythm took over. Pass. Move. Receive. Cut. Her body forgot fear. For a few minutes, she was just a player again. Free. Then, as she sprinted down the wing, her ankle gave way. Completely. She felt it. A sudden, deep twist. She collapsed hard onto the grass. The field went silent. Rain began to fall. Slow. Cold. She tried to stand. Her leg refused. Pain shot up like lightning. She gasped. Coach Bode ran toward her. "Don't move," he ordered. She gripped the wet grass. Tears mixed with rain on her face. Not again. Not like this. Not in front of everyone. The girls circled around. Tenny whispered, "Is she okay?" Coach examined the ankle. His face tightened. "It's worse," he muttered. Amara's vision blurred. "I didn't trip," she whispered. "I know," he said quietly. He helped her sit up. Rain poured harder now. Thunder cracked in the distance. Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She didn't want to look. But she did. With shaking hands. I told you. Her world tilted. The message felt like a hand pushing her down. Coach noticed her expression. What is it? She showed him. His face went pale. This time, he didn't try to calm her with simple words. He stood up slowly. Eyes scanning the field. Scanning the gate. Scanning the people watching from outside the fence. Someone out there was enjoying this. She could feel it. The rain soaked through her jersey. Her ankle throbbed violently. And for the first time, she wondered if she was fighting something bigger than jealousy. Something darker. Coach Bode crouched again. We're going to the hospital, he said firmly. Now. As they lifted her toward the car, thunder cracked directly overhead. The sky opened completely. And as the rain blurred her vision, her phone buzzed one more time. She didn't want to read it. But she did. Next time. It won't be your ankle. Her blood ran cold. Because suddenly, this wasn't just about football. This felt like a threat. Rain followed them all the way to the hospital in Ikeja. The windshield wipers moved back and forth, like they were trying to erase the day. Amara sat in the back seat, clutching her phone. She hadn't opened any more messages. She didn't want to see them. Her ankle throbbed in deep waves. Coach Bode drove fast but careful. Stay with me, he said once, glancing in the mirror. I'm here, she whispered. But inside, she felt shaken. Not just from pain. From fear. From confusion. From the thought that someone somewhere was smiling. At the hospital, everything smelled like disinfectant and wet shoes. A nurse brought a wheelchair. Amara hated sitting in it. It made her feel small. Weak. Like all her speed had disappeared. They wheeled her into a bright examination room. A different doctor this time. Older. Calm eyes. Serious voice. He examined the ankle carefully. Pressed here. Moved there. Asked questions. When did the pain begin? 2 mornings ago. Did you injure it during training? No. Did you apply any substance to it? No. He frowned. The X-ray came back clear. No fracture, the doctor said. Coach Bode let out a breath. But, the doctor continued. Amara's heart sank. There is inflammation. Deep tissue irritation. From what? Coach asked. The doctor hesitated. It almost looks like a chemical reaction. Amara's stomach flipped. Chemical? Coach repeated. Yes. Something that came into direct contact with the skin. The room went very quiet. Amara felt cold all over. I didn't put anything on it, she whispered. The doctor nodded gently. It may not have been you. The words hung in the air. Coach Bode's jaw tightened. Is it dangerous? He asked. No. Not permanent, the doctor said. With proper treatment, she should recover. How long? Amara asked. 3 to 5 days of strict rest. No running. Camp evaluation was in 3 days. Her chest tightened again. The doctor continued, if she plays before healing, it could worsen. Amara stared at the white hospital wall. 3 to 5 days. It felt like the world kept saying. Almost. But not quite. After the doctor left, Coach Bode turned to her slowly. Amara, he said carefully, has anyone touched your ankle recently? Her throat went dry. The breathing in the dark. The powder. The cold brush against her skin. She nodded slightly. I think, someone came into my room that night. Coach froze. Are you sure? I heard breathing. I felt something cold. When I woke up, there was powder on my ankle. His face changed completely. This wasn't sports anymore. This wasn't training. This was serious. Why didn't you tell me everything? He asked gently. I didn't want to sound crazy. You don't, he said firmly. Silence filled the room. Then he asked the question she had been avoiding. Who would want to hurt you? She closed her eyes. Images flashed. Auntie Mabel's stare. Her smile. Her words. We'll see. You don't have to protect anyone, Coach said softly. She opened her eyes. I don't know, she said. But deep down. She did. Back in Surulere that night, she couldn't rest. Her ankle was wrapped tightly again. Medicine lay on the bedside table. But her mind wouldn't stop racing. She stared at the ceiling. Why would someone go this far? Because of football? Because of jealousy? Because she dared to shine? Her phone buzzed again. Her whole body tensed. Unknown number. She opened it slowly. Hospitals can't save destiny. Her breathing became uneven. Another message followed. Go back home. Or it gets worse. Her hands trembled. This wasn't random. Whoever this was knew she was at the hospital. Knew her movements. Knew everything. She stood up carefully and walked to the window. Outside, Surulere looked normal. Cars passing. People talking. Nothing strange. But the fear sat heavy in her chest. Coach Bode knocked softly and stepped into the room. I called a friend, he said. What friend? A police officer. Her eyes widened. Police? Yes. Her stomach twisted. That meant this was real. Coach continued, you are being harassed. Threatened. This is not normal. She nodded slowly. I don't want trouble, she whispered. You didn't create it, he said. He sat down across from her. Amara, sometimes when people feel powerless, they try to control others. She looked at him. Your stepmother feels like she's losing something. Like what? Control. Attention. Maybe pride. The words hit her softly. Control. Yes. At home, Auntie Mabel decided everything. Who ate first? Who spoke? Who mattered? And now, Amara was stepping into a space where Auntie Mabel had no control. That might have felt dangerous to her. But why hurt me? Amara asked quietly. Because hurting you feels like regaining power. The room went quiet. Amara felt something settle inside her. Not fear. Understanding. That didn't make it okay. But it made it clearer. The next morning, the police officer arrived. He wasn't dramatic. Just calm. He examined the messages. Asked questions. Took screenshots. We can trace this number, he said. Amara's heart beat faster. Trace it. Find out. Finally. The officer left with her phone details. Give us time, he said. Time. Everything needed time. Healing. Tracing. Waiting. Camp evaluation was in 2 days. Her ankle still hurt. The mark was still there. And somewhere, someone was waiting to see if she would break. That evening, as she sat quietly icing her ankle, her phone rang again. Not a message. A call. Unknown number. Her breath caught. Coach looked at her. Answer it, he whispered. Her hand shook as she pressed accept. Silence. Then. A woman's voice. Soft. Slow. You think you are bigger than your home? Amara's blood ran cold. She knew that voice. Even before her mind said it. Her heart had already recognized it. Auntie, she whispered. The line went dead. The room felt smaller. Heavier. Coach Bode looked at her face. Who was it? He asked. Amara swallowed. Her voice barely came out. It was her. And for the first time. The fear had a name. The room felt too small after that call. Amara's hand was still holding the phone. Still shaking. Coach Bode stared at her. You're sure? She nodded slowly. I've heard her voice every day for years, she whispered. I know it. Silence. Heavy silence. Not the kind that makes you calm. The kind that makes your heart beat louder. Coach stood up and walked toward the window. He didn't speak for a few seconds. When he finally did, his voice was steady. Then we stop being afraid. Amara looked at him. Fear is what she wants, he continued. If you stay scared, she feels powerful. Amara swallowed. What if she does something worse? Coach turned back to her. Then we face it. Not alone. For the first time in days, she felt something different rise inside her. Not fear. Not confusion. Strength. Small. But real. The police officer called later that evening. We traced the number, he said. Amara's chest tightened. And? Coach asked. It was registered under a different name, the officer said carefully. But the SIM card was activated using a phone frequently located near Ajegunle. Same street as your house. The words dropped like stones. Ajegunle. Home. Coach's face hardened. Can you prove who exactly? He asked. We're working on it, the officer replied. But it's close. Close. That was enough. Amara closed her eyes. It wasn't in her head. It wasn't imagination. Someone from her own house had tried to shake her. To weaken her. To make her quit. Her ankle throbbed again. But now it felt different. Like a reminder. Not a curse. Evaluation day arrived. The sky over Lagos was clear. No rain. No thunder. Just bright sunlight over the field near Teslim Balogun Stadium. Girls lined up in fresh jerseys. Some nervous. Some excited. Scouts stood near the sideline with clipboards. Amara's ankle was wrapped tightly under her sock. The mark had faded to a faint shadow. The doctor had cleared her to play lightly. Not full risk. But enough. Coach Bode pulled her aside before kickoff. You don't have to prove anything to anyone, he said quietly. I know, she replied. But inside. She did want to prove something. Not to Auntie Mabel. Not to Saad. To herself. That fear could not win. That threats could not define her. That pain did not own her future. The whistle blew. Game on. The first few minutes were slow. Amara played carefully. Short passes. Safe. Movements. Her ankle held. A defender pressed her. She pivoted gently. Still stable. Her confidence grew. Then midway through the match. She received the ball near midfield. The field opened in front of her. Space. Opportunity. Her heart beat faster. This was the moment. She accelerated. Pain flickered. But did not explode. She pushed forward. A defender came. She feinted right. Cut left. Clean. Another defender approached. She tapped the ball between her legs. Slipped through. Gasps from the sideline. She was near the box now. Her ankle burned. But she didn't stop. She planted her foot. Shot. The ball curved beautifully. Top corner. Goal. The net snapped. Silence for half a second. Then cheers erupted. Loud. Real. The kind that shakes your chest. Amara stood there breathing hard. She didn't fall. She didn't collapse. She didn't break. She stayed standing. Coach Bode clapped slowly. The scouts wrote notes quickly. One of them nodded. Later, when the game ended, the head scout called names. 3 players selected for the International Youth Program. The first name. Amara Okoye. Her ears rang. She blinked. She almost thought she imagined it. Amara Okoye, the scout repeated. Her teammates pushed her forward. She walked slowly. Carefully. But proudly. The scout smiled at her. You've got heart, she said. And skill. Amara swallowed. Thank you, she whispered. 3 days later, she stood once again outside the American embassy in Lagos. Same gates. Same cold building. But this time felt different. She wasn't alone. Coach Bode stood beside her. The police officer had filed harassment reports. The threatening number had stopped sending messages. There had been silence from home. Heavy silence. Inside the embassy, she sat straight. When her name was called, she walked forward calmly. The officer behind the glass reviewed her documents. Sports clearance. Hospital records. Police report. Official recommendation letters. She typed for a while. Amara's heart beat steadily. Not racing. Not shaking. Steady. Finally, the officer looked up. Your visa is approved. Just like that. No drama. No long speech. Just simple words. But those words felt like the sky opening. Approved. Amara blinked. Approved, she repeated softly. Yes, the officer said. Coach Bode squeezed her shoulder. Outside, Lagos traffic roared as usual. But today, the noise sounded like celebration. She held her passport tightly. Stamped. Ready. Her phone buzzed once. Her heart skipped. Unknown number. She stared at it. For a long second. Then she opened it. One message. You think you won. She stared at the words. Her fingers moved slowly. She typed back. It is my turn. She pressed send. Then she blocked the number. Her hands stopped shaking. Because she understood something now. Jealousy is loud. Fear is loud. Control is loud. But destiny? Destiny is quiet. It doesn't argue. It doesn't threaten. It simply waits. And when it's time, it opens doors no one can shut.